We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to another great episode of On Air with Pierre. I have the pleasure of welcoming my friends from Communities and Schools, the Bay Area, Dr. Pierre Wuenschel and Hillary Gramm. Let's please give them a welcome. How are you guys today?
I'm doing very well.
Dr. Wuenschel and Hillary, y'all have been part of Communities and Schools for quite some time now. And so for our viewers, I think I want to start off with giving you guys the opportunity to tell us a little bit about Communities and Schools.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we are part of the nation's largest in-school program serving youth. We do whatever it takes to help kids achieve in life and overcome barriers that may put them at risk of dropping out of school.
Is the dropout rate nationally or at the state level something that you guys are keen to or track or keep track of the in terms of kids that drop out from school?
Yes, that's a big piece of what we focus on.
Sure.
We do focus a lot on helping kids overcome barriers just to succeed in school so they can be promoted, but we definitely keep track of it.
Do you understand that rate to be a rate that has increased over the last 5-10 years, or has it decreased? What does that trend look like?
It's definitely been increasing.
Okay.
But we've had some stability on it.
Sure.
Because we have programs like Communities and Schools that are operating in about 25 different states in the nation.
Sure.
And
all the more reason the importance of this organization,
Absolutely,
right? Because
yes.
of a situation that has increased that you guys need to be able to provide. And I think from some of the research that I've been able to do is there's a lot of preventive work that you guys focus on. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so what we specifically do, we're an evidence-based program, and we have a full-time person on a school campus who meets with students who are referred to us by teachers, by principals, by parents, possibly by themselves. They may want the help, and what we do is we do an assessment, assess what the needs are to help them get more engaged in school. We bring in community members to help if they need mentoring, if they need tutoring, if they need socks, if they need shoes, if their parent needs a job. So we really bring the community into
the individuals that do they work for the school or do they work for the organization?
They work for our organization.
They work for your organization,
Correct.
And there's one for every campus.
Yes, correct.
Okay. What is that person called?
A student support specialist.
Student support specialist.
Correct.
And so that person has a lot of communication with both the school and with you guys about the people that are getting referred to the program and the people that are in potential need of receiving services from your organization. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. And the big piece of it is we do access resources in the community. We work with organizations like the Assistance League of the Bay Area.
Yes, we had them a couple weeks ago.
Okay, M.I. Lewis, Lighthouse
yes.
Christian Ministry,
yes.
Those social service agencies. But we also partner with businesses. So we have like Jacobs Engineering is one of our Adopt-a-School partners, and at the risk of excluding a lot of people, we have several businesses who have come in just to meet with kids, to be mentors to them. One person in particular, and I'll call him out just because you may have interviewed him before, is J.P. Morris from Texas Citizens Bank.
Yes. I just saw him just a couple days ago.
He's mentoring a student, and the student moved to another school.
Okay.
And he followed him over to that school.
Wow.
So we have some really good business people.
Is there an area is it just CCISD or multiple school districts? How is that set up?
For Communities and Schools Bay Area,
Okay.
we're in Clear Creek ISD and in Dickinson ISD.
Oh, okay. And there's particularly after the hurricane, I'm assuming that there was a lot of need that went not just in the schools at CCISD but also in Dickinson.
Absolutely. Dickinson. Over 80% of the homes there were impacted, and so those were 80% of our kids that we're working with in Dickinson ISD were impacted. And so, yes, that's one time when I recognized how much this community really loves to help.
Sure.
When the need comes around.
Right. Step up to the
they
call.
absolutely did. They
to be able to be
absolutely
there for
did,
the community.
Yes.
what are some of the key bullet points that that you perceive to be some of those obstacles that you talk about that lead someone to potentially dropping out? Is it mostly financial resources, or is it the makeup of the home? Is it that they're not being fed? Is it what are some of those key bullet points that you understand to be major blocks?
I will say that poverty is one of the major barriers. However, we do have kids who are from middle school homes whose parents may have been divorced, something traumatic happened within the families. But
Sure.
poverty tends to be a big area that we focus on.
Okay.
And children make the decision if they like school or not when they're very little. And if they're unable to make friends and keep friends and have proper social skills in the classroom, that alienation starts young, and then they become sick more often, and they're not going to school.
Right.
And as the parents disengage over time, and they said, I'm not going to school, okay, and then they stop even telling their parents, and then they drop
Right.
out. So it's a process that starts when they're very little, and our program is set up from elementary all the way through high school. And if we can catch them when they're younger, we can start to build their support system so they feel safe and secure to come to school.
Right.
Because children shouldn't have to worry about adult problems, sleeping on a floor, worrying
Sure.
about taking their lunch money to give to their sibling. Or
Sure.
you guys were talking about Tide Pods earlier. That's a
Yeah.
hot commodity for us.
Right.
These children are coming to school with dirty clothes.
Mm-hmm.
We wash the clothes at the school. We are sending home Tide Pods for children to wash their clothes
Sure.
in sinks, because kids, these are all things that lead to that decision to not feel comfortable in school and essentially drop out.
And Hillary, I think one of the things about the perception that the public sometimes has, particularly if they're not actively involved in the education system or they have kids, is this notion that the dropout journey sort of begins in high school, right? And the reality, to what you just talked about, and what you just talked about, Peter, is that it doesn't. It actually starts as early as elementary.
That's correct.
And from what I understand, there's a lot of studies and research that supports that data, that it's not a high school thing, like their junior year, and they're like they've had it up to here, and they're I'm dropping out, I'm not finishing, and then you're trying to apply some last minute kind of a Hail Mary, let's try to just get this kid pulled through. But really that starts as early as elementary.
It absolutely does, and that is part of what our program is based on. And one of the
Early
things-
intervention.
Early intervention, and what we do in the different school districts is we try to follow a feeder pattern. So
Okay.
we'll begin at an elementary school. Like we're at 2 elementary schools here in Clear Creek ISD. Those students go to Clear Creek Intermediate and then Clear Creek High School. And so because we recognize that dropping out is a process, we can follow those kids who are most at risk.
Absolutely.
And you can by the time a person's in 3rd grade, research shows that you can identify how highly they may be at risk of dropping out.
Right. And all of these growing programs obviously require access to resources. And so you guys have to also step up to the plate on the order of fundraising.
Yes.
And so we're going to take a short little commercial break. And when we come back, we are talking with Communities in Schools, Dr. Pierre Wuenschel and Hillary Gramm of a great organization that has a really cool event that's coming up. And they're going to be talking to us about that. So stick around and don't move. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Every meeting and group event deserves to be at South Shore Harbor Resort. From extravagant to intimate, trust us to make your next business event a success. Perfectly located just 30 miles south of Houston, South Shore Harbor Resort is the largest full-service waterside resort in Southeast Texas. Mixing business with pleasure has its benefits. Our executive chef has created a delicious menu full of the best local ingredients. With upscale, casual, and poolside dining options, there is something for every appetite. Business has never been easier with such amazing choice of meeting spaces that provide a relaxed waterfront setting. Our state-of-the-art amphitheater is perfect for delivering a winning presentation. Swim, float, or paddle up to the poolside bar. and enjoy the sun in our amazing 185-foot tropical oasis pool. Or take your time and lounge around in one of the beautiful private cabanas. You're going to sleep well in our luxurious, spacious, and airy rooms, furnished with plush bedding and a maritime theme. Business does not have to be all business while conferencing at South Shore Harbor Resort and Conference Center. Memories made here.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Do we still have some folks here in the studio? Yeah. I am talking with my good friends of Communities and Schools Bay Area, Dr. Pierr Wuenschel and Hillary Gramm. Peter, the need to be able to address the needs of the community also requires resources, right?
Absolutely.
And so you guys have to also dedicate some time to be able to do some fundraising. But you do have an event that's coming up that's really cool. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. First, the person who is doing a massive amount of work for that and spends about 75% of her time on that is Hillary Gramm. And Hillary Gramm has been with me for about 9 years now.
10.
Working on 10. Okay.
10.
All right, she's
10.
been
We're
here
gonna have a
with
big
me
party
10
for
years.
that.
And she
Wow.
she has really taken this event to a really classy and high level. And so I want to let Hillary have the highlight of this
Absolutely.
event that's coming up.
Yeah, so we have the Bay Area's premier golf tournament. There are golf tournaments all over. They're kind of a dime a dozen. We are the premier tournament. We raise the most in the Clear Lake area, and it is just over the top, but done in the utmost classiest way. It's done at Bay Oaks, and in the 9 golf tournaments before this year, we've raised over $1.5 million.
Wow, in
Yes.
one event.
But over 9 years. So
Sure.
a typical golf tournament in this community raises between $20,000 and $30,000. This year, we are slated to raise $250,000
Wow.
in one day. And with this golf tournament, we have all kinds of different things happening. There's something on every hole. We feed everybody, make sure everyone has drinks, and it's just a wonderful event. While the golf tournament is occurring, we have a wine tasting called Raise Your Glass to CIS. And this is an oversold event, wait list only, sells out just within a couple of weeks. And it's a speed tasting. It's not a traditional, let's listen to someone lecture and be well behaved. It's, this is a social event, so the different sommeliers come to you.
Okay.
And you can visit with your neighbor if you wish. It's very engaging. It's different than any other wine tasting in this community.
So this is sort of like an event within
Absolutely.
a
Yes.
big event.
Yes.
And that's a tall order, right? So one of the things that we've been talking about LeaderCast, that we've been producing this event year after year, and then we're going multi-site this year. And so our team has been looking at us like, how are we going to be able to pull this off? Because the event simulcast live from Atlanta, and so I can't. I have to. It'll be happening at the same time, but in 2 different places. And I can't split myself in half, and so we're just thinking through that whole. But y'all have actually been running this play of an event within a mini event for a couple of years now. Have had tremendous success with it, and I think from what you talked about, Hillary, is a big part of that is to the experience that you give to your supporters that come out to the event. Right, the golfers get to have something that's put up at every hole, and then there's food and there's drinks, and it's a good time. And that's certainly what allows somebody to say, like, I'm gonna carve this out on my calendar for the following year. So it takes place at Bay Oaks. What's the date on the event?
April 15th, we have one last golf team available.
Okay.
That's it. The wine tasting is completely sold out, waitlist only. Like us on Facebook, Communities and Schools Bay Area.
Okay.
If you'd like to learn a little bit more and to get on our wait list for the wine tasting.
Perfect.
We're auctioning designer purses, which is very unique to our
Wow.
community.
Okay.
So that's something that people come just for that.
So you definitely want to make sure and get connected. Is there a website where they can also get information about all the programs?
Sure, www.cisba.org.
CISBA.org is a website where you can go and find out more information about this phenomenal organization and all the programs that they're doing to help kids stay in school. Dr. Wuenschel and Hillary, I want to thank you for coming to spend some time with me today, and we hope to, we don't hope, we are banking on having a fun time on April the 15th. I'm excited to be there. We're going to get to talk to some of your sponsors and be interviewing them live, and so for all of our viewers, be sure and get connected with them on social media so that you can catch all of the action that's happening at the golf tournament and their great event on April 15th at Bay Oaks Country Club. We want to thank all of y'all for tuning in. We are going to be posting the replays from each of the segments on our page at Top Star Events and Entertainment. And of course, we thank you so much for all the support that you've been bringing us for the last 2 months as we've launched our On Air with Pierre. Next week, you don't want to miss the show. We have a really great show. The winner of the Don't Mess with Texas program campaign is going to be with us, Whitney Lane. And then we also have our friends from Bay Area Turning Point, and we're talking with Mr. Michael Lee, franchisee of the Chick-fil-A in Lake City Town Center. We thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next week. Have a phenomenal week. Bye-bye. Hello, my friends. You and I have a date at 11 o'clock every single Wednesday, so you can tune in and watch my show, On Air with Pierre, where I interview local celebrities and the movers and shakers of the Bay Area, Houston. So be sure and tune in to On Air with Pierre, Wednesdays at 11 o'clock.